Okay, here we are with a sprout update. So these guys have got some very obvious first sets of leaves starting. Just back up a bit so you can see it. All those kind of yellowy green bits. So if you are like me and you are sprouting in a place that doesn't have any sunlight, I'm in a basement right now. This is the point where you can start exposing them to sun. I think tomorrow is when I will do what you would call greening. Exposing it to sunlight will bring chlorophyll to the leaves and will turn them from a yellow to a green in sometimes as little as 12 hours. Usually a day is enough. At this point, you could eat them. Another thing I want to show you is all these little black specks. So this is another important thing. So once you've got a considerable size root, all of the little black bits, so basically the shells of the seeds, are loose now. And so there's a few different ways to go about getting rid of those. And I'll show you those in a second, and let's have a peek at our fenugreek. Alright, fenugreek. So it looks really small there, but it's actually like a good portion up the cup. So these guys are just climbing. Again, starting to have some greens show, or the leaves. Once the leaves start to show, that's when you want to start giving them some sunlight. So fenugreek, lots of roots there. Okay, so let's loosen the shells.
Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how to remove the shells of your seeds, or the little hulls. So I have a bowl of just water here, and then I'm going to take, maybe I should make this so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got my bowl of water, and I'm going to take the seeds, and I'm just going to dunk the whole thing in to loosen them up. So I'm going to remove everything from this container. If you have some stuck in the bottom, you might have to pull them free. So once all the seeds are in there, you'll notice, whoop, after I pour everything all over the counter. Go ahead. So the hulls start to loosen up in the bowl, and all the black seeds will float to the top.
Okay, so here we are. So I've kind of run my hands through, untangled all of the roots, and so most of the hulls just easily float to the top. Super easy here. So those takes a little, this is probably the most labor intensive part about sprouting, especially sprouting with small seeds. So here we've got all these guys floating on the surface. So it's pretty easy to pour off most of them, and your roots will stay in. There's going to be a few scragglers, or you can use a spoon and lift them out. Either way, for the most part you can get those out. Maybe you'll have to do them a couple days in a row. But these seeds are getting pretty close, so I'm going to get the hulls out of the way, and then tomorrow will be the greening phase, and we'll be good to go. So now, next I'm going to do the fenugreek. Okay, so as you can see here, so I've brought most of the seeds out of the bowl, and not a perfect job, but a lot less hulls than before. So another thing that doing this, especially with your small seeds, or maybe your old seeds, or seeds you weren't sure what was going to sprout, all the hulls that have fallen off will float to the top, as you can see in the edge of the bowl there. And then everything that's sunk on the bottom is generally seeds that either got too much water or just didn't grow. So a lot of these guys are ones that are either late bloomers, where they're just starting to crack open. So you can see some of them at the bottom there. And then I zoom in too far. But basically these ones, they've, yeah, they're just taking a little longer than normal. So that, I mean, you can sift through them if you want. Depends on how patient you are at this stage. Or you could just scoop out these guys that are remaining in the surface and get rid of everything else. Or maybe you toss all these in your garden and maybe some become plants. The options are endless. So anyway, I'm gonna sift through most of these floaters, and I'm gonna actually take the latter option, and I'm gonna dump the rest of the water in a current plant that I already have growing, because then I'm recycling the water, and I also potentially might get a couple kale plants out of it. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm here at some plants I have growing in the yard. So these guys are some green pepper plants that I got for free at my old job because they just had a whole tray they were getting rid of. And then right in the middle, I've got some curly cress. Now these guys I started sprouting hydroponically and then realized they get huge. This was like maybe not even a tablespoon worth of seeds. And they just grew like crazy. If you saw a couple days ago in a previous video when I first transferred the kale seeds to the Easy Sprouter filter, these guys were underneath, and now they've been sitting outside and they're super green. When I first put them out here, they looked like they were gonna wither away. So soil is still pretty moist, but I'm gonna dump some of this in just to recycle it, because it's silly to pour relatively clean water down the drain. Now there's not a lot of room in here because these guys have got a lot happening, so I'm actually going to take the rest of these and dump them back in the backyard and give them a chance to, maybe they'll become something, maybe they won't. Okay, so the rest of these guys I'm just going to pour in this random patch in the yard. So we've got some seeds on the ground now, and we'll see what happens. Okay, next up here is the fenugreek. I've yet again got my bowl of water. I've got the fenugreek seeds. I'm gonna pop them all in here. And easy enough, there was a few that actually just kind of stuck to the bottom. Those are mostly hulls and seeds that just didn't quite sprout. So I'm gonna just dump those. Easy enough. Okay, the rest of these guys are in here. Hopefully I don't spill this one on the counter. So giving them a rinse, loosening up any hulls that might be in there. And then this one's gonna be a little bit easier because they're a little bigger, they're not as tangled up. And same idea, find those loose ones. There's not really that much falling off just yet. Partially playing around with it with your hands is gonna help to break any off if there are some seeds. So there are, a few loose ones right now. You can see them, they're almost like brown, transparent. There's a few in there. But this is the fenugreek so far, and these guys are ready to eat any day, or you could green them as well. These ones are quite spicy. Okay, and the fenugreek seeds were much easier to do, so I rinsed them in water, got my hands in there a little bit, and then as I poured them back through this filter, because this one actually has holes at the bottom, I just poured everything back in, and all the loose hulls and non-growing seeds just happened to sink to the bottom, so it was a really, really quick one. I picked out a few of the roots that were still alive, that were stuck at the bottom, and now these guys are ready to go. So I'm gonna put everything back together, and that's it for today. So once you start to see those leaves, that's the time to get a bowl of water and shake off your hulls. Again, most labor intensive part. I'm probably gonna do it again tomorrow because there's still a few stuck on there. And then you're just smooth sailing, and at this point you could taste test your sprouts, see if this is the time you want to eat them, or maybe you want to wait a little longer, maybe let them green for a day. And that's it, so I'll see you tomorrow.